Hello, moviegoers, and welcome to another edition of Have You Seen It? I am your host, Denise, and this week I am reviewing the movie Wolfs, W-O-L-F-S, on Apple TV Plus. This movie stars George Clooney and Brad Pitt. Those are your big names. And then you have Amy Ryan and Austin Abrams. All right. So this movie is about a professional fixer who's hired to cover up a high-profile crime. But a second fixer appears on the scene, and the two lone wolves, because they don't work together, are forced to work together, and they find themselves in a really, really odd predicament as they do their job as wolves. Now, this incident or this crime scene that they have found themselves in takes the course of just one night. All right. So I'm going to tell you how this all started and who, the main characters or the names that you'll hear throughout the movie. So you have fixer number one, who is George Clooney. And then you have fixer number two, who is Brad Pitt. You have the kid. All right. And then you have that high profile individual who gets the ball rolling. So when the movie starts, this high profile official has requested has asked a young man to accompany her to her hotel room for a little tryst. So when the movie starts, you don't see those two engaging in any type of hanky-panky. Rather, you do hear distress. And so you know that something has possibly gone wrong. Well, during the short time that this high-profile individual and her date for the evening have been together, he ends up having an accident and he dies. So, of course, in her panic and, her fear of what could happen to her and what has just transpired, she makes a phone call to that fixer. So when she makes that phone call, of course, fixer number one, George Clooney's character, is asking her specific questions. How'd you get this number? Who called you? Blah, 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 because he wants to make sure that this is a real situation that he is going to fix. So once all of that is taken care of, he appears on the scene to begin fixing the situation and has her just, you move along, I've got this covered. And so while he is doing his job, fixing the situation, that is when fixer number two appears, because fixer number two has also received a similar call, and that is why he is there. So, of course, the two of them are at odds immediately because they work alone. I don't need any help. I know what I'm doing. But because of what they find in the room, it kind of forces them to put their heads together and work together. Plus, someone has seen everything that's gone on. So they're now kind of stuck. So as the movie progresses, you find out that this younger gentleman who accompanied this high-profile individual to her hotel room, he came with a backpack, and that backpack has drugs in it. So now it makes the fixing situation a little more complicated because they know that these drugs probably had to be delivered somewhere, but we'll figure it out along the way. Fast forward, as they are transporting the body to wherever it is they're going to dispose of it, The individual wakes up and they realize that he wasn't dead, but he OD'd. And then, of course, the two fixers are like, didn't you check the pulse? That's part of what we do. Why didn't you check the pulse? So they have this little banter going back and forth. So George Clooney and Brad Pitt have chemistry together on screen. If you've seen any movie that the two of them have appeared in together as buddies or whatever, you are familiar with their type of banter and dialogue. So as this movie progresses, they get information from this young gentleman that, yeah, I had some drugs. I'm supposed to drop them off. I'm supposed to drop them off here. I'm supposed to pick up X on the way and follow through. Well, as the night, progresses, that is when, just a snowball effect of situations occur. And so you've got two fixers, a young guy who's got drugs, has to deliver them because otherwise his life is in danger. And then along the way, you have a Croatian mobster who, enters the scene. And so he's giving a side eye to the fixers because, he's like, I don't trust fixers. So you've got this person worried. And then as the movie moves on and they actually reach the drop off point, then you have an Albanian mobster group who gets into the fray. And then you just have a lot more going on than what you thought was going to happen in the beginning. So the movie in some scenes is kind of long and drawn out. For example, there's a specific chase scene that is like, I thought it would never end. It lasted that long. So, the beginning, it starts like, wow, this could be suspenseful. It could be a thriller. I'm not sure, but the pieces, the scenes where it kind of lagged, could make you confused a little bit. So the ending is ambiguous. So I'm going to leave it there because the two fixers kind of, that some wheels are turning in their heads and they've got questions. And so the ending is like, ooh, what do we do now? So I'm going to give this movie a strong 6 and some change. If you like those two heavyweight actors, Pitt and Clooney, give it a look. It's a nice, Saturday night movie just to watch if you don't want to go to the theater. Okay, so that is my review, Wolves, on Apple TV Plus. All right, folks, I'm going to jump into my Nailed It. And in doing so, I'm going to stay with the George Clooney vibe. And my Nailed It this week is from the movie Up in the Air. And it does star George Clooney. And in this movie is about 10 years old or so. But in this movie, he is quite the traveler. And so his job requires him to travel often. And in this movie, he just does travel so efficiently that it's really cool to watch him. From the time he starts at home, packing his suitcase and how he meticulously puts his items in his suitcase so that everything fits just right. His carry-on luggage has the 360 wheels on it, so he doesn't have time to lug things around. He gets into the airport. He's very quick in checking in. He is going through TSA effortlessly. And in doing so, he makes certain that he does not find himself in line behind certain individuals, people with kids and strollers. And he doesn't want to be behind the elderly because they've got metal in their bodies from, I guess, hip replacements and knee replacements. So the alarm is going to trigger off. So all of those things are quite funny to watch. And I do find myself now when I travel thinking about this movie. And so when I get into TSA, I'm looking for those types of people to stay away from. So if you want to travel efficiently, check out Up in the Air with George Clooney. Quite an interesting and funny movie. So there you go. All right, folks, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button. And remember, we are available on every podcast platform in the universe. Just type in, "Have you seen it?" with Denise, and there I will be. Okay, moviegoers, you know what to do. Until next week, I need you to see a movie because I'm going to see a movie. Until next week, bye-bye.